So shut up, Hassan, and go learn something before you talk about other people's business.
He's not into learning.
It's just like two people nervously talking about how much they hate me. He called Asmongold fine and only Trump coded. Yeah, Ethan Klein, the guy who loves fighting back against quote unquote anti-Semitism, who claims that Twitch has a real anti-Semitism problem and has now consistently, again, demanded that his fans brigade and mass spam advertisers with false smears about myself being a dangerous anti-Semite in an effort to bring about an adpocalypse to an entire platform that content creators rely on, has also defended Asmongold because Asmongold is an incredibly important vector of hate in the Hassan universe.
I don't think he's like pro-Trump explicitly, overtly. I know people try to say that. I think he definitely leans more conservative, but I don't think he's as conservative as people try to paint him out to be.
Well, let's see.
Ethan Klein went from calling out Keemstar's anti-Semitism to wearing Keemstar's merch, it seems, making the entire team wear it too. What a way to go out, man. What a way to go out. This man did a content nuke on Keemstar, actively presented Keemstar as his major enemy, only to turn around and become a formative ally to Keemstar after Keemstar spent years calling his wife a horse. No shame. He did 3 nukes on Keemstar. Now that everyone is concerned about anti-Semitism, I'd like to remind everyone that Keemstar told his audience to tweet at me to all Jews. This is the person that started the outrage machine about my apparent anti-Semitism towards Ben Shapiro. This man said Twitch was incredibly anti-Semitic and now is entertaining a Kick deal.
I've talked to Kick. We're thinking about multi-streaming. Not moving, nothing dramatic. Just broadcasting to Kick in addition to YouTube. It would change anything for you guys. It's simply a multi-streaming thing. Because I think this competition at this point, it's hard. You can't ignore it anymore because it's coming so big. And now with Mr. Beast there, it's a thing, right? And the competition is important. YouTube and Twitch suck.
At live. YouTube at live.
YouTube sucks at live.
Their bot stuff is great.
I feel like after all the drama with Twitch, I always appreciate YouTube so much.
They've been very, very nice. They want us to come. They're gonna put us on the homepage, like our whole podcast when we're live, which doesn't sound like a lot, but to be honest, there's a big demo there that probably stopped watching or has seen clips and this and that.
He was part of the reason why Kick even exists to begin with, because alongside myself, he actively crusaded against crypto casino gambling, and then it got banned off Twitch. So Stake, the crypto casino, had to make its own website. That website is known as Kick. Years later, now Ethan Klein is entertaining getting a contract from Kick after spending the last 22 months of Israel's unlimited Holocaust against the Palestinian population, decrying that Twitch is an incredibly anti-Semitic website for allowing someone like myself to continue ranting against the state of Israel for its genocide. He can't even stick to one consistent position. It makes no sense. No morals, no principles, just pure hatred. There are plenty of people that still get duped by these guys because they just don't pay close attention to anything, and I don't even fault them for it. Yeah, meanwhile on Kick, the platform Ethan Klein is now attempting to go to after demanding the biggest poly streamer in the country world firing a bazooka directly at the Overton window. Meanwhile, our brave champion against anti-Semitism, Ethan Klein. Karen Klein hasn't been able to gaslight the mods into buying his contrived narrative, so now he's trying to destroy the incomes of everyone who streams on Twitch. Right sponsors. It's the only route Twitch has left open. Twitch found no violation of the Hassan clip about Hila. I wonder why. Because there was no violation, because it wasn't a death threat. If it was, I would have been banned. Have you ever been banned? Yes, a ton. I've been banned for far less. The less defensible Israel becomes, the more aggressive these guys become in their attacks against those who have criticized Israel and also made them look stupid and feel stupid. Where's the self-preservation from other streamers? They're just going to sit down and be scared while their livelihood is threatened by a freak crashing out? Yes, because in some ways, I think they correctly interpret this as an event that is inevitably going to go away. If these guys are successful and then I'm deplatformed, it goes away for all these other content creators and they go, oh, finally, yeah, we like Hassan, but he was really threatening our bag because of his existence. And that's the goal. For a lot of these guys, they can't actually make me into a toxic figure amongst my friends, so they try to bring me down to their level. These are people that none of these guys want to collaborate with, none of these guys want to be around, but as long as they can associate themselves forcibly with someone like myself and make it everybody else's problem by routinely attacking my friends for even collaborating with me, for example, then they can successfully turn me into a toxic pariah figure. That's the whole point of the LSF brigading, for example. They can't do it, so they try everything they possibly can. In the process, if they were to be successful and get me deplatformed, then people are like, all right, finally, they'll move on to someone else. If they fail and get bored, eventually they'll move on to someone else. Ultimately, for a lot of the content creators that are in the periphery, quietly watching the events that are unfolding, their hope is that it just inevitably goes away. I think what they fail to recognize that the lack of counter messaging from progressive voices on this platform, out of understandable fear that they might be harassed endlessly by some of these rabid monsters, has created an environment where the most loud voices you hear are the likes of Asmongold. And there's only one person who is actively in the top, regularly duking it out with these people, and that person is ritualistically humiliated with ridiculous smears over and over again and turned into a toxic pariah. What do you think happens at that point? If the only voices of political discourse is far-right voices, and the only major voice of progressive politics is a guy that those far-right voices are explicitly attacking with regular frequency, from the audience's perspective, they don't actually understand where that silence comes from these other content creators. They don't see the way the sausage gets made. They don't know that this is out of real fear of harassment that they do not want to invoke. So they think, oh, everybody's right-wing. This is cool. Because unlike a lot of these guys, I'm not fueled by pure spite and resentment and a narcissistic desire to want to undermine people who have made them feel stupid at some point. The reason why I'm stubborn is because I do believe something. I believe exactly what I communicate to you. Because if I didn't, I wouldn't do this. There are much easier ways to make a far larger buck online, even in the realm of political commentary. If this was a pure grift, then I just joined the wave of content creators that are doing unlimited right-wing propaganda right now, because they're at the mercy of political. They're at the mercy of political memes, and they just basically latch on to whatever motion any sort of politics has, whether it be Andrew Tate taking off like a rocket ship and designing your worldview around whatever he's saying, or whether it's Donald Trump. And you didn't even need that. You had mainstream media offer where you could be progressive despite obviously being leashed. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. Okay, that reminds me. Actually, you know what? That reminds me of a funny thing that I saw. Remember when I was showing you like the top 10 tweets or whatever or the top posts from live stream fails? I have to show you one of the funniest comments I've ever read. Hasan has no tweets and has never talked about Palestine before October 7. Like, let me see if I can find it. It's awesome because you can say whatever the you want about me over there and everyone will be like, that's right. Yeah, over 7 years ago, Hasan posted this as one of the first videos on his YouTube channel before he even started streaming full time. Since then, nothing has changed. It never began on October 7th. I read a comment that hundreds of upvotes claiming your mom and dad are billionaires. Yeah, I know. Bro, people just lying. Exactly. But because there are enough people who want that kind of lie to be real, they'll just go along with it. Do you have an intellectual disability for leaking nudes as a 35-year-old dude in front of youngins to act cool? I have no idea what the you're talking about. I'm not even 35 right now. I'm 34. They're talking about E's next video. Their new piece de resistance against you is that you showed unsolicited received on social media to other people. Ethan is claiming you intentionally show your phone to your friends and it's just full of... That's cool. Yeah, that's not true. I don't know what else to say about it. Yeah, that was, I think that was Destiny's audience trying to actively come up with a retort when everyone was going, oh, dude, you're gross. You distributed revenge. And I think in their endless, like, Hasan route, they thought the best possible way to get out of this is just to say, oh, Hasan does that too. But because they couldn't find something like that, because I have not done something like that, they had to basically turn around and be like, well, here in this Cosmo article that very clearly defines that in the process of showing, which, by the way, before I was even a Twitch streamer, when I was at the Young Turks, in the process of in the process of like showing the journalists on Cosmopolitan magazine, fans that were sending me merchandise, like what their merch photos, there was unsolicited that I was the recipient of. It happens. It's just not even remotely within the same realm of filming people both consensually and unconsensually in the process of having sex and then sending all of that footage to other people without the consent of the parties involved. How will all this end? Will they eventually become so irrelevant that we collectively move on? They have like 5 or 6 clips of your friends accidentally seeing stuff on your phone which they're assuming to be, including Cutie on a Fear End episode. Without context, that could be anything. That could be a weird text message that, unless they're going, wow, I just saw of a random person on your phone, how the are they interpreting that as, how the are they interpreting that as like me showing people my you know, the I've gotten or something? Wasn't Ethan's whole shtick showing a prolapse people without their consent? Yes, he did do that. Quite a bit. It's a big bit on a show. And I believe he even did that at one of his live shows where they were not checking IDs. So he might have actually shown a prolapse to minors, as a matter of fact. But of course, that's different. I'm telling you, dude, he's going to release a video on your sex life and he's going to frame it to make you look bad. If anybody watches a video from a 40-year-old man who has spent the last year actively stalking me, whose obsession, whose psychosexual obsession, his pathological obsession was so clear and present that it was basically calcified in a GQ article by a random journalist who brought it up himself, is going to watch a YouTube video like that and go, yeah, he's not the weirdo. The guy who is actively trying to frame as a bad guy is the real weirdo here. That's on them. Starting a podcast with Ethan was your biggest L? 100%. That is true. Major mistake. If you were to have asked me like a year and a half ago, I would not have said that. I would have said, you know, it's the friends we make along the way that matter. But oh my God, it's not just like a cancerous, it's not just like a cancerous entity on my life, but also on the lives of others who are not even like completely associated with me. You know, like, there is very little association that I have with like Denims. You know, we've collaborated like one time. Brogan obviously is a different story. She was my mod. She's a content creator, like on her own, but still, like Casey Tron, for example, again, so ridiculous. What is this? Foul moi. Ethan Klein reads an article saying he has a psychosexual obsession with Hasan Piker. Ethan vehemently denies these claims. Then just 1 hour later, he accidentally leaks a multiple page Google Doc all about Hasan's sex life while live on his podcast. What the can't make this shit up, man. It's almost cartoonishly stupid. This is one of the funniest cell phones Ethan Klein has ever had. He's like, I'll show everybody. I'm not obsessed. I think part of the animosity you receive from Ethan is to show other people in his life what he'll do to them if they turn their back on him. Oh, for sure. Click on the video. I'm not going to watch the video. I don't care. I do think that he has made his own life miserable for no real reason. Like, he didn't have to behave like this. And he, at any point, can still stop doing this, but I don't think he will. One of Ethan's links was about you and Austin arguing who was the more selfish top. This man proved his own obsession. Wait, what?
Selfish or selfless? Guys, don't listen to them. Women have driven hundreds of miles to have sex with him. And did you hear him talk on the test yesterday? He's had webcam, and he doesn't even turn his camera on. Are you kidding me?
That doesn't mean selfish top behavior. It's because I need to protect my. I want to protect my identity, and I would of course never.
Show hog.
But because I'm not, because I'm selfless, they know I would never in a million years like screenshot their or anything like that. So they trust me.
So it's just mostly stuff like this, just like that's like very clearly a joke. That is, there's only one method, man. There's only one method. Is literally take anything that a person is saying in jest as a joke to their friends with the utmost sincerity and act like this is a political advocacy that I'm engaging in. You know what I mean? This is like a psychotic. He also brings up the brothel when you have explained it to him. No, it's really funny. It's really funny because the brothel thing is not even just me explaining it to him. The brothel thing is literally him reading the article where the brothel successfully sued the government for lying about without actually doing a proper raid and a proper investigation. He debunked that himself. That's what's so crazy. So he's just like putting things in there.
Cheat on their wives because they're not.
It's not about. It's usually not about like looks or
is
whatnot.
like actively argued against. Ethan Klein is smearing us on again. He says the brothel was rated for human trafficking. On 2021 on Leftovers, he debunked the claim himself.
I must have missed something.
No, you didn't miss anything. I was talking about Hassan Piker going to have sex with a prostitute at a brothel.
You know what I want for my birthday?
A prostitute?
For us to enjoy the ice cream.
And I believe the brothel is now suing the city of Berlin for damages too. On top of that,
I actually have an excerpt here. It says, the Berlin authorities raided Artemis in a human trafficking investigation. Some people on, let's see here. Basically what they do is, I guess the authorities do routine investigations. They drop in.
I mean, this with no hate, but didn't you say you were going to cover him in this drama again a while ago? No, you're right. Absolutely. It's just the dynamic has shifted a little bit, don't you think? Considering that apparently he is like actively slandering me and also is once again trying to trigger an adpocalypse on Twitch by lying about my positions. Hopefully it won't work. It didn't the last time. But the reason why I'm covering this is because we started off talking about who has been funding Ethan Klein's podcast and what the reasons as to why he's engaging in this kind of smear operation. They're stalking my family. This is just another part of the multifaceted, multi-pronged approach.
Just to see if there's any like human trafficking there. They didn't find any human trafficking there.
Yeah, but he's implying that there was.
Right, because what they actually did arrest people for, as you said, was tax fraud and withholding Social Security contributions. So there was no arrests about human trafficking, in fact, and it's routine. And anyway, it was the people arrested were related to tax fraud.
Yeah, I mean the brothel is still in operation. Yeah, it's not like you know what I mean.
Total bullshit. I mean, why would he do that?
Well, why would anybody smear someone like that? Especially when they're, on a YouTube video directly reading out. You can find a clip like this for every issue. October 7 really broke his brain. I know. It really did. It really did. And you can tell it's genuine because I saw this. Ethan Klein changes the title on his H3 podcast for the third time as the episode struggles to pass 200K views. Hasan Piker put my family in danger. I need your help. The title references Hassan citing violence against Israeli soldiers in the West Bank is legal under international law. The H3 podcast has lost over 280,000 subscribers and 75% of its monthly viewership over the past 2 years. The show is now testing uploading pre-recorded episodes as the revenue has fallen. So like he's doing this because it's not even like a financial imperative. Like there's a real reason why he's doing this. Okay, he is like upset. He is genuinely obsessed, so much so that he will and light on fire what remains of his businesses, whether it be Teddy Fresh, whether it be the H3 Productions podcast, whether it be the good reputation that he had built over years and years of being one of like the OG YouTubers. It's clear he's willing to destroy everything that he's built over the past 2 decades for himself in an effort to like take me out with it, which is so crazy. And I don't know where this goes. I just don't know where this goes. I don't know where this goes for him. What I also don't get is like how there are still remaining like supposedly progressive fans who just like, I guess, turn a blind eye and tune out this or have like totally totally believed everything that he's saying. And legitimately think I'm like the primary villain. But yeah, it's a narcissistic smear campaign. Like Ethan, I also have a psychosexual obsession with Hasan Piker. She's trying to gaslight us now. What is this? Hila Klein really trying to rewrite history. She literally said in her own words that she volunteered for a raid. Now she's a poor innocent secretary. Give me a break. Yeah, I don't understand that. Like, I guess there's I guess the one positive side of this is that they're like at least embarrassed now. They're embarrassed of what she formerly did and openly talked about.
Always spoken against settlements before this motherfucker even knew what that was.
She's talking about me?
Okay? I've always been against it. So shut the f up, Hasan, and go learn something before you talk about other people's business.
He's not into learning.
The other...
Bro, I don't understand. Like what kind of entertainment value could this have for you know what I mean? Unless they're like watching it to just like laugh at it. I don't know. Like what? It's just like two people nervously talking about how much they hate me and then how Israel is the most misunderstood nation on the planet. I feel like that's all they do. How is there any sort of entertainment value you could derive out of this? Unless you're like a real freak and you're like, I just desperately crave the exact same on content, but this time being nervously reiterated with a little bit of chat GPT botted talking points along with it. You know, this is
thing that I wanted.
This is just a beacon of mental health here.
To say is that now when people say, oh, she just did mandatory service, he's like, oh no, it was way more than mandatory. She volunteered to go into raids.
She participated in this raid.
No, it was just mandatory service.
Yeah, you are
okay, but she did participate in a raid.
Secretary, and you went on a ride along.
And I was a secretary. Don't rewrite history. I'm not going to sit by and let people rewrite what I did and what is my life. It was mandatory service, and I was a secretary. Well, 20 years ago. Now I'm an American citizen. You got a problem?
I don't. I don't know.
Once you went on like a mission with them to like a terrorist city.
Yeah.
That was kind of a crazy story.
Yeah,
it's a terrorist city. He's talking about Ramallah, by the way.
So my officers and like the soldiers in that brigade.
Like, why would I know any of this? I didn't know any of this when I didn't know any of this when I actually did the podcast. I didn't even think that they were pro-Israel.
They would go every night on a raid.
Right.
In Ramallah to arrest terrorists. And so I always saw them preparing for it and leaving, and then I would stay in the base. So one time I wanted to go with them just to experience it.
Why? You just were all of a sudden had an urge to go with them?
I just wanted to see what it's like.
Right.
I wanted to see it.
Okay.
It's funny because it's like, even if she had participated in this and then like joined breaking the silence, like I wouldn't have an issue with that at all. You know what I mean? My automatic expectation isn't that someone who has done something like this, because it is mandatory service, to reflect on it and then think it's awesome. Yeah, you think like after participating in it, you'd be appalled. Also, I don't know how they're trying to rewrite this part of the story, because Ethan himself admitted in our quote unquote debate that this took place. He went as far as even calling her a terrorist in order to maintain some kind of moral consistency, just so he could call a random 19-year-old in Yemen a terrorist over and over again. They claim he was being sarcastic. Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, she did a raid, an illegal raid in the West Bank, because she was bored. It's becoming more and more obvious that in your debate with Ethan, he capitulated instantly on stuff like that to avoid talking about it with you. Yeah, I think so too. He was like, what now? Immediately to like move away from a major point of contention to make it seem like that's not the real reason why there is this like back and forth that's taking place. Yeah, also, yeah, the fact that no one knows the answer to this question is really where this discussion begins and ends. With what we now know, the raid could have been legal or illegal. Anyone trying to argue one way or another without more information is a charlatan. There is no such thing as a legal raid in the illegally occupied West Bank. What do you mean? This guy is supposed to be one of the smarter minds of the pro-Israel side, by the way. They're so cooked.